morning, Washington. 62 days out to the election, the most important election of our lifetimes, if you haven't heard. And I wanted to just cover a little bit more about running for office and some of the things I've encountered and the things I'm running into here. And the first bit of that is surveys. I have received so many surveys. Let's see here. Where am I? Totally lost. Sorry. I think I received like 35 questionnaires and 29 surveys, and I haven't responded to a lot of these. The reason being that I think a lot of these surveys will just be used against me in the end. They're just going to be spun against me, and I reserve the right to change my position. If I submit something on a survey, that doesn't mean I'm 100% committed, and that's the only way that I believe, the only thing that I believe on that subject. I reserve the right to change my mind and find out more information. I always see more information and adapt my views, because when you get more information, you should be willing to change on your viewpoints, in my opinion. But a lot of these surveys, many people, when I first signed up to run, said, hey, don't respond to any surveys. Don't do it. They'll just use the answers against you and then endorse your opponent. And I've seen that a lot, quite a bit. I've been doing some research, and anytime I get one of these surveys, when I think about filling them out, I research the sender and try and figure out what their motives are and that kind of thing. Same thing's true with these media requests that I've gotten. I like to see who the reporter is and see what I'm responding to, see the type of person that I'm responding to, because a lot of times I feel like they're dishonest. There's so much dishonesty in the media. There's so much fake news out there and so much opinionated journalism. And I have to ask myself, what are my chances of even being endorsed by XYZ individual that's reaching out to me? And here I have some of the previous endorsements from the Herald. Let's see here. So here's the first guy that reached out to me. His name is John Bauer from he's not actually the first guy. Somebody reached out to me a couple months ago, and she had Trump derangement syndrome off the charts, so I didn't even bother responding to her. This guy sends me an email. He says he group emailed me and my opponent at the same time, which was kind of funny. He says, Davina Dewar and Adam Bartholomew, candidates, greetings. Welcome to the campaign season. The coronavirus pandemic has forced some changes during the election season, but the Herald intends to continue its practice of endorsing candidates for the general election. The Herald takes the importance of the public office seriously, and we strive to provide our readers with the information and analysis they need to make their decisions in choosing who will represent them. As it considers endorsements, the Herald editorial board would like to schedule board interviews soon with candidates on the November 3rd election ballot. In keeping with social distancing guidelines, we have adjusted our normal practice of inviting candidates to the Herald's offices for interviews. Instead, we are asking candidates to participate in a joint interview via teleconference using the Zoom platform that can be used on smartphones, laptops, or personal computers. As if I've never heard of it before. He goes on asking for me to basically just give him all of my availability and scheduling for the next month so he can schedule an interview. I didn't respond at first. Then I wanted to read up on him a little bit, and there's quite a bit to read. So he then asked me again. He's very persistent, John Bauer. And I told him I would take this into consideration, and that's what I've been doing. I looked him up on Twitter, and I can see his leanings. It's fairly obvious. But I went ahead and researched him, and you can see in just the endorsements that are tweeted out on John Bauer's own Twitter, you can see that he heavily endorses Democrats. in past elections, here is a previous endorsement from 2014, and there is 3 or 4 Republicans on here. That's it. The rest are all Democrats. I think 18 Democrats, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 18 Democrat endorsements and only a few Republicans. And if you look a little deeper into those Republican endorsements, then we can see, so here's one of the Republicans he endorses in the 10th, Norma Smith, right here. And he says, incumbent Norma Smith, a Clinton Republican, first elected in 2008, is challenged by Michael Scott. A Clinton Republican, really? Is there even such a thing? A Clinton Republican sounds like a rhino to me. A Republican in name only. There is zero chance that this guy would endorse me. None. And I would be, if I step into an interview with this Herald Net editor, the editorial board, there's zero chance that I would get endorsed by these guys. And in fact, the Herald, the Everett Herald, I've seen some terrible reporting from this organization. And they do very underhanded reporting tactics, in my opinion. They'll come out and interview, videotape things, and then put out headlines that are crazy. Or they'll do 500 people will show up to an event, and they'll say over 200 people showed up, and they'll take a picture before the event starts and use that as the headlining picture on their article. That's just one example. This guy's Twitter, John Bauer, is also very heavily leaning on one side of the political aisle, and we can see by his endorsements which side he leans to. I mean, there's so many Democrats in here. There's zero chance this guy is ever going to endorse me. Another guy that reached out to me for media inquiry here. Whoa. Let's see. Let me just pull this one back up here. Another guy that reached out to me recently was somebody named Cody Sexton from the My Neighborhood News Network, covering the Washington House of Representatives election. With our coverage, we hope to provide voters with enough information before heading to the polls. Regards. This guy's Twitter is pretty gross as well, I have to say. Let's just take a look here at some of the things. And here's why I do this. I look into this guy's Twitter because I think, okay, if I reach out and interact with this person and talk to them, what are the chances that they're going to be honest in their coverage? Well, let's take a look. This guy automatically, I just did a little search for Trump in his Twitter feed, and you can see he says he insults the education of Trump supporters. So that's just one little thing. But the thing that caught my eye was this one. And you have some very bad people in that group, but you also had some people that were very fine people on both sides. Trump, about the neo-Nazi group, Unite the Right. Yeah. The Very Fine People Hoax. Nice. I like how this guy just totally omits the other part of the statement that it's in this exact statement from our president. And anytime I see somebody pushing this Very Fine People Hoax, it's not even a political thing. This isn't a political question. This is a question about honesty. If you can't be honest as a reporter in your coverage of our president, How are you going to be expected to be honest anywhere else?
You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now,
So if you can't be honest about the comments that our president made, how can I expect you to be honest about me, or about my campaign, or about the things that I care about, or about my beliefs? I don't think so. So, just like this guy, John Bauer, that reached out to me, I have zero chance of getting an endorsement from that guy. I have zero chance of getting honest information or an endorsement from this guy, Cody Sexton. These are not unbiased reporters. These are not honest people. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to interact with people like this. I don't want to deal with snakes in my life. I don't want to have to worry that something I say is going to be twisted and used out of context, because that's what I see happening all over the place. And I don't need to play the broader Trump clip from the Unite That Are Right speech that he was giving after that, when he was discussing what happened back in 2017. It's clear to anybody, and I think that's a pretty fair bellwether to this guy's honesty and being able to tell if this is going to be an honest reporter or not. If you can't even be honest about something like this, how can you be expected to be honest about anything else? So, no, I won't be responding to that guy. I might show up for this meeting with John Bauer, but I haven't decided. I once again, I have zero chance of being endorsed by the Herald or this guy, John Bauer. So, that's why I have not responded to several of these reporters. That's why, I also take this election seriously. And when I decide whether or not I'm going to step in and have a discussion with somebody, I have to figure out if they're going to be honest in their representation of me. So, anyway, I just find this pretty interesting that all of these reporters think they are the moderators of our election season, but when you look at their own personal pages and their own Twitter feeds, the truth really comes out in their own bias and dishonesty in a lot of cases. So anyway, I'll leave that here. I have some other stuff to cover in another stream, and I'll see you soon. By the way, visit my website, adam4wa.com, adam4wa.com. This is the most important election of our lives. If you don't want to see the destruction that's happening all around our country, if you don't want to see fires being set at your local precinct or your local sheriff's office here in the 1st Legislative District or in your own district in Washington, you need to get out and vote. You have to get out and vote this election season. Please get out there. Please support the candidates in your local area. And if you're in my area, or even if you're not, and you just like what I'm doing here, please support my campaign, adam4wa.com. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. Thanks.